Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Lena, Gareth, and welcome all, and delighted to have the opportunity to reconnect. So we have roughly 30 minutes. We're going to walk through some ideas. I mean, I think I'm coming to this with huge degree of humility right at the moment. These are what we term these VUCA times: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So all of us, and I really feel with many of you in owner managers, we run a small business and we're literally having to adjust day by day. It's very unpredictable. So I've shaped what we're going to talk about around some simple ideas. I want to look at the concept, just refresh quickly the resilience theme, that concept of a leader having a right altitude, to talk particularly about rapid and what I call repeated bounce. I think one of the things that's most likely to happen is we may get quite a few more shocks. And as leaders, it's going to become wearying. So it's not just one bounce. So I was trying to make the point, what are the tactics you need to think about to keep yourself up to manage the situations that involve both great opportunities and also, no doubt, some threats for all of us in some ways. Secondly, to look at the concept of managing your rhythm. We've all had to readjust our lives. We're living at home. We've got kids in the house. We're not seeing our colleagues. It is quite a major disruption for many of us who've been in a rhythm. And now we have to reestablish a rhythm. So just want to refresh your thinking around some of the things we're hearing that leaders are finding very useful in terms of remote work rhythms. I want to talk briefly about emotions. I think that's kind of almost a hidden side of what's going on. We all respond very differently to drama. And as a leader, it's so important to be able to detect what you're experiencing so that you can respond skillfully. Because as leaders, when we get trapped in fear or sadness or anger, it's very contagious. People will hear it in your voice, they'll see it in your face, they'll see it in the way you write your emails. And then finally, to look at the concept of situation agility. And look, I really hope we keep this pretty short, and please keep questions going. Very happy to expand that question time a little bit towards the end. I'll share my screen. Let's get going. So maybe what we start with is, can I suggest you all jump up on your feet? All right, I'm serious about that. I'd like you to actually get up. All right, and like each one of you, just sort of lengthen up your spine just a little, relax your arms somewhat, just roll the shoulders back and around, forward and around. Perhaps take your arms up, stretch down to the side and down to the other side, and just relax, shake out again. And then exhale, just breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, empty. And then slowly breathe in. And given we can't give each other a hug, maybe give yourself a hug. It can be really useful every now and again to do a few simple hacks. So we launched this idea with the concept of new normal. I don't think that's really a good idea, and I was told in no uncertain terms by my wife this morning, there is no new normal. We don't know where we're going, and maybe to think that there's going to be some kind of quick stability coming, I'm not sure that's going to happen. So I thought the theme here is one: bounce, reimagine, which means keep that cognitive flexibility and to drive when you can see an opportunity. All right, so most of you know, and this is typical owner manager group, this is from 2018, and just to make the point, when you do these things as owner managers, you get some real benefits. So if you look at that lower half of the spiral, that's the concept of bounce. So we're going to look at what happens when you go down. How do you quickly get back up? And how do you maybe identify when you're taking a knock more quickly so that you can get back more quickly? We're going to take a look at the energized body, master stress's rhythm. We'll look at the engage emotion. You can see some of the gains that owner managers make in that area. And then we spend a little time on this situation agility. So let's start right away with the tricky stuff. And I know we're all are taking this. And as I say, this might happen again and again. So just a really quick refresh. Remember, the challenge of resilience failure is it starts very subtly. It starts in ways that are hard to detect, and it starts in the mind. And it starts because there's lots going on. You know, many of us spending long hours on the screen, lots of emails, lots of webinars. It's a lot of cognitive overload without some of the other rhythms of gathering and working together. So be alert to when your mind is spinning from one thing to the next. It's very expensive. So, you know, there are many people out there making statements. We've got to be cautious with this, but, you know, one that I think may be worth just considering is that in this new rhythm, we may only be productive for 50 minutes to 2 hours per day. And some of us are pinned to our screens 12 to 14 hours a day. So be humble with how much cognitive energy these webinars actually take. And as many of you will remember, the danger of becoming overloaded is the brain gets tired, the body cuts the blood supply, we disengage. So 1 minute you're in that webinar, the next minute you're fiddling on your phone. 1 minute you're talking to someone, the next minute you're thinking about, as Gareth said, you know, your child has just fallen over. So we're getting these massive disruptions. It's really easy to disengage from what you need to do. And that's where we make mistakes. Then it becomes emotional. It sinks to the heart level. And we feel bad. Oh, I should have said, or I wasn't there for the family, whatever it might be. Be careful of that feeling. So this is where things start to move a little quicker and it starts to become noticeable. So you'll feel a kind of loss of energy. Really, really important. And then, of course, as we're in this busy new rhythm, doubly careful today of this vulnerable phase where you think, gosh, I've really got to do this. I won't do the family walk this morning. Or I really have to push through this. I'm going to miss lunch. It's absolutely critical to notice when you're letting yourself down in these key daily practices. And we'll come back to that. And remember, of course, the next level is distress. Now it's in your body. And remember, as we've said, brain is new, 250,000 years. Emotions are old, you know, maybe 100 million years. But when you get your body, you're talking about a 3.8 billion year evolution. So the body is smart and will catch you with distress when you go too far. So we're going to be really, really simple, and really, really clear about when your breathing gets a little upset, when you feel that rash come back, when your guts may be uncomfortable. Listen to the body. Thank your body for the signal, because that's really where you want to crawl up and to do it fast. Now, all of this is normal. And just to remind you, if most of you are not going through this, I don't think you're trying hard enough. This is normal. This is happening, and we need to feel it. And as a leader, you know, remember at the end of the day, you get up every day to serve your people, your family, your customers, your suppliers. You've got to keep yourself out of the spiral. That means you want to be really dialed into this. So rapid bounce, first practical piece, recognize each of those levels in yourself. The faster you recognize them, the faster you're going to bounce. If you miss them or ignore them, you really are putting yourself at risk. And I guess if many of us think back to the Christchurch earthquakes, that was very challenging because people were getting thousands of earthquakes. And each time you got hit, it was another adversity, and it's really easy to sink. You climb back out, you get another one. This may be the kind of environment we're all moving into. All right, so step one in rapid bounce, know these symptoms. I would take the workbook home and just refresh yourself. This is how I experience each of these. Make it very, very practical and resolve then to what are the things you need to do to get back out. All right, this is not rocket science. And, you know, just to recap, remember, at distress and depressed as leaders, a lot of people depend on you. Your business depends on you. If you're feeling that things are getting down to that level, and if you sense you're not naturally bouncing, seek help. Have the humility, have the courage to step into this and use your network, use your colleagues, use your EAP to do this. We'll talk about rhythm in just a moment, which is that renew layer. And of course, the connection thing for many of us. And, you know, if you think about some of your children, this is something I'm very aware of in my network. is kids are really missing their friends, and they feel this. And I think many of us will be missing our colleagues and the buzz of the workplace and the buzz of the business, the buzz of your daily face-to-face and tangible contacts. And then, of course, remembering to keep your mind fresh. So if we go back to that idea that perhaps we cannot be productive for a whole day, if you are going to have 50 minutes of really high quality time, plan it. Be really, really deliberate about making sure the things that matter each day are in your diary. And when you engage with 100% intensity. Once you've done it, get up, take a break, grab that cup of coffee, walk around, say hi to the family, do something different, and then re-engage. The brain can handle that. Whereas just sitting at your desk for hours on end is in effect futile. Last point on rapid, repeated bounce. Remember that each one of you as leaders have a duty of care. Your people will all be experiencing this in different ways. Your entire business network will be experiencing this in different ways. Now, while it's important not to overdo this, as a leader, keep your heart open. Make sure that when you do connect with people, you check in with them personally. Take a moment to ask them how they're going, and then zip it. And really listen, right? There's so much you can do as a leader in terms of helping people clarify those goals. Make sure you've got regular, consistent times you check in with each person, and always start those check-ins with a, how are you trucking? Tell me what's going on. I think that reaps a huge benefit because you've connected with someone, you've helped them refocus on what's important. That will really help your business come back and so on. And, you know, some of these other ones are going to be a little bit difficult. You've got plenty of resources from us and from the Ice House. Please feel free to take some of these ideas and to share them with your colleagues, just to remind people that we do take some strain as we go through these difficult times, but bounce is natural. All right, the human body is unbelievably resilient. Natural, normal process. If you can be patient, it'll happen. All right, let's shift over to thinking about, you know, some of the simple themes, I guess, that we're seeing as you go down the spiral. You know, if you really want to simplify it, watch for 3 reactions. All right, the first is the freeze reaction. We're definitely seeing this with small businesses. It's just too much. It's a kind of sense of overwhelm. The freeze response is old. It comes from your body, not from your brain. So you don't choose to freeze. Your body opts for that option. It's the safer option. Your blood pressure drops. It can have some, you know, unhealthy effects. It's really bad for a human being. And you know, the biggest danger for you guys is that you don't make decisions. And part of what we're going to come to is the importance of maintaining it. So remember, freeze responses linked to sadness, linked to withdrawal. And one of the things you can do to quickly reestablish yourself is to remind yourself of your breathing. Right, so maybe now is a good time. Why don't we just get back on our feet again and place one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest. And remember, never good advice to take a deep breath. So first, just simply breathe out slowly through your nose. As you do that, your diaphragm will dome up. The air leaves your lungs. You relax the diaphragm and your heart slows. And then gently breathe into the lower hand. About 4 seconds on the in, 6 seconds on the out. All right, simply activating that diaphragmatic breath, even if you do it for a couple of seconds every hour, will immediately shift you out of that freeze response. So, you know, we recommend, and I hope all of you are remembering this and using it, and feel free to take a seat or stay standing, be comfortable, to have a daily practice. So when you're doing this tactical calm, you will find that you need about 8 minutes per day. So you can stand or you can sit light and long. As we did, bring the attention to the lower hand rather than the upper hand. Exhale fully, roughly 6 seconds. If you can, less if you need, if you feel it a bit stressful. Inhale slow, low, keep all the breathing through the nose, and just allow that rhythm to reestablish. Right? So not only have you tackled that freeze response, which is probably our biggest danger right now, but you downgraded the fight and the flight responses. Right? So remember, if you're in freeze, you withdraw, you don't do stuff. In fight, you tend to engage. The blood is up here, your heart is going, your blood pressure is thumping away, and you tend to make very impulsive decisions you'll often regret. Whinging and moaning is usually part of that fight response. By doing this breathing, you calm it. All right, so if you can, we use that simple term: name it, tame it, reframe it. Name it, I'm feeling the sadness, feeling the withdrawal. Tame it, get up, do your breathing. Reframe it, now we're going to have to look for the other side. And of course, in the freeze response, it's looking for energy. It's looking for a sense of, actually, this is interesting, a little bit of curiosity. You're looking for even a bit of appreciation. Wow, this is quite an experience for us all to be going through. And in the fight response, we're looking for kindness. We're looking for a sense of tolerance. So when you feel yourself getting frustrated with someone, just shift your energy across to that person and realize maybe they are wrestling with things. And have a sense of patience for others. That kindness is the quickest way to name and tame your anger. And likewise with the flight response, where you just want to avoid something, that's a fear response. So the response to that is to move into calm. So, point two in understanding this is, and I think you all know this, and I don't think this is rocket science. Take some time to think about your daily rhythm. What is the set of simple, non-negotiable practices that are going to help you establish a rhythm? A rhythm is key to success. So sometimes a rhythm is exercising something you don't always exercise, and sometimes it's resting. So the key bits that we're finding are so key, and what a wonderful opportunity we've got right now to fix the sleep problem. Sleep issues are driving bad decisions. They're driving problems in the business. They're driving health issues. If you want to be strong against a virus, you want to get a good night's sleep. So the absolute foundation here is make sure you get enough sleep, even lengthen it a little bit, and make sure you go to bed regularly, preferably a little bit earlier. And then make sure you wake up. Same time every day, preferably with a walk or some activity in the blue light of day. So that is probably the biggest one where people are finding benefit. The second one we introduced just a moment ago was understanding the importance of that flow time. Schedule those important tasks, focus, get them done. You can't get away with it without exercise. Take it. Regular breaks, as we mentioned, and then smart transitions is another one people are getting. Make sure when you finish a piece of work and you go across to the family, you leave the work at your desk and take the human being back to your family. And when you've had that family time, finish it, be polite, be sensible, come back to work 100%. Some of the key sort of practices, and I won't go through the sleep, we've done that. Would like to talk a little bit about the emotion side. If we think about freeze, flight, and fight, those are true trigger situations, quick reactions chosen by the body, anger, sad, fear for each of them. And of course, they can lead to regret. So step one is just realizing the name, tame, and reframe is to move from your middle brain to the front of the brain. The middle brain activates us when we're under pressure. As leaders, you've got to stay in this frontal brain. Every time you name an emotion, you can actually see the blood flow shifting from that reptilian brain to the front of the brain. Simply naming it, I feel angry. Right? And you can, we won't go through the fight and flight. The vagus nerve is kind of the story people are telling right now. That's something, if you like the physiology, perhaps you want to spend a little time on. When we breathe out, when we name an emotion, when we relax our heart rate, the 10th cranial nerve or vagus nerve fires. When you do that, your body calms, your mind refocuses, and your empathy portal opens. So there are lots of ways to do that. And, this is slightly newer work. We've talked about the breathing. The more you do that, the more resilient that vagus nerve will be, the more easily you'll be able to do the name tame and prepare for reframe. But, literal things like throwing cold water in your face, not a bad idea. Perhaps a couple of times, head to the bathroom, just throw cold water. Those of us who can, get to the water and swim. Swimming is a fabulous way to activate that vagus nerve. Massage, going to have to be in the family these days, but little things, laughter, singing, gargling water, many, many ways to get that vagus nerve working. And the reason for that is to turn it into a leadership discipline in your team. So knowing when these destructive emotions come up, zip them, tame them with the breathing, and then when you do engage, make sure you do it candidly. And that's a key piece for us. Many of us are facing very difficult, uncomfortable decisions. You can't zip it up and say it's all fine. You're going to have to sit down with people and sometimes acknowledge, I'm really upset about this. I understand that you're also upset. Try to get the name clear so you can talk to people about emotion in a calm, responsible way. That kind of caring and candid conversation is absolutely essential to looking after your people, your customers, and your family. In that, and we kind of talked about it, so I'll just refresh quickly. The practice tip, I'm feeling sad, I'm suffering, I'm feeling a bit of grief. Activate the appreciation. Look for something to learn. Feel curiosity. The most powerful way to respond to that freeze or grief situation is to look for happiness. Likewise, you feel anger, activate kindness. Likewise, you feel fear, activate calm, curiosity. And I guess that opens the door for many of us to think about empathy. If you can manage your emotions, you can work skillfully with others. And now's a real time to work on that empathy. It's difficult because we don't have the face-to-face contact we used to. But let's keep it really, really simple. Just like you want to check your body, check your emotions, check your mind. So you want to step into relationships and try to really check in with the body. It's hard on a screen and it takes a lot more energy. And we know from these webinars, it's really burning brain fuel, if you like. But to take that moment, notice the body, encourage people maybe to get up, have a little stretch every now and again. That's being physically present. Emotionally present, what is that I can see in the face? Can I detect the feelings in the tone of voice? That's being emotionally empathic. And thinking, how is someone thinking? Now, those three parts of empathy, physical, emotional, and cognitive, all happen in different parts of the brain. Take time to step into that empathy space. And just one little caution for leaders. There's a lot of suffering for some businesses, and it hurts. All right, so just like sometimes you can feel grief or anger or fear, so will your people. And if they're very upset, as leaders, we tend to pick some of that up ourselves. You've got to be really, really careful with this. There's a difference between empathy, which is understanding and acknowledging someone's state, and capitulating. And many of you will have to make hard decisions. That means you've got to kind of just quietly and respectfully keep a little bit of a bulletproof vest on. All right. If you get caught up in someone else's distress, you will end up usually making bad decisions. And that's called sympathy. That isn't good for anyone. So that emotional strength is kind of a key bit for the empathy and preparing the brain. So let's just spend the last couple of minutes on situational agility. This is something I'm thinking hard about, and gosh, I think we've all got lots to learn. What is the goal here? When we talk about situational agility, this is the sort of thing they'll train special forces in. Some negotiators get trained in this, but as business people, we don't really get deliberate training in this. So the goal is, in a tricky situation, can you keep your thinking clear, your attention focused, and make flexible, agile, effective decisions? All right, so we said the strong physical, emotional foundation, it's not possible to use the brain in this way unless you've got that secured. You want to keep the mind really calm, present, and alert. If you're caught up in worry about the future, you're not calm, present, and alert. If you're caught in regretting the past or getting frustrated about the past or sad about the past, you're not in the present. All right, step one. Step two is quick situational awareness. Things may change very, very quickly. Part of what I'm thinking here is that maybe as leaders, one of the things we could test ourselves with is, what are the key situations that may unfold? That's called scenario visualization. Okay, so this could be a V-shaped recovery, and we may already be on a sharp uptick. New Zealand may well be. Are you ready? Are you ready to really put your foot down and move fast, if that is the case? But if we get a second drop, and I heard from some bankers last night, they're expecting 3 waves of difficulty. All right, so if we're not in a V and we're in a W, what's your plan as a business then? And if you see that V lose it and we go down again, how are you going to adjust your plan really, really quickly? Because we may have to do that. So having a sense of, I think it's going to work this way, but it may go that way, is what we call, it leads to situational awareness. And when you pick up those signals, to be able to move fast. 6, and really key for us as leaders, and it's testing. Watch your language. It's really easy to be sloppy with your language. So before you say things, just run a little check. What am I about to say? Is there a better way to say it? So simple ones that we're challenging people to look at now is, gosh, I'm so tired. Well, as a leader, there must be better ways to express that. It's been a big week. I'm going to take a good sleep tonight. Is much more honest and constructive, and it sends a very different signal to the people you're talking to. Likewise, I'm so busy. Well, really? No, I don't think so. Not smart language. Perhaps we've got a lot going on at the moment, but we're taking things one at a time and we're staying really focused on what's in front of us. Has a completely different effect on the people around you. The stress word, and Liz and I talked about this a couple of days ago. It's really easy. You'll see this in social media. Everyone's, oh, so stressed, so stressed. Drop the language. All right. Yes, it is a difficult time. It is definitely, definitely challenging. But rather than saying you're stressed, say, look, I'm fully engaged. Or maybe even look for opportunities to say, you know what, I'm actually enjoying this rhythm of work. I'm not commuting. I've suddenly reclaimed a whole lot of time in my life. I'm actually enjoying that. All right, get the idea? And, at the end of the day, if we can work through this situation agility, we've got rapid decisions, quick execution. And, the future's going to come and it will be exciting. And there are going to be opportunities galore. Don't be late. All right, so that idea of keeping your mind clean, clear, focused, and agile is for me one of those key bits. So we think about it, one way when we face a challenge, and this is just kind of recapping, check your body, check your emotions, check your thought, and what are you about to do? And when we lose it, we kind of go down that spiral. Can become agitated, anxious, start to worry, stuck. If you're feeling fear and you're worrying, it's almost impossible to make a decision. A reframe, or the true situation agility, is when you confront that challenge, just relax into it a little bit. Check your body, adjust your body, loosen up. All right, remember, we're all in this. Be kind, be gentle to each other. All right, think about how you voice what you want to say. Use practical, realistic, and optimistic words. And that leads to a much more constructive engagement. So, in a nutshell, the simple ones, I think that key, and just quickly refresh them. Keep your breathing slow. 4 seconds in, keep it low. 6 seconds out through the nose. Be very careful with your sleep. One of my key things, track it. I'm finding it so useful to get an objective view of my sleep as compared to what I subjectively do. Get your sleep bulletproof. It is so important for the decisions you make as leader. Get your exercise done. All right, work on that grief, anger, fear, or in other words, the freeze, the fight, and the flight response. And be really brutal with your thinking. When your mind gets caught up in spins, it's not helpful for anyone. So detect it, situation awareness, name it, tame it, reframe it. All right, so you can stay really present and effective in the moment.